Finally. Okay, guys, I think I'm back. I don't know. This has just been sheer insanity.
Jeffy's rattled.
So I guess I shouldn't quit my day job, eh? Just stick to the whiskey, right? I think I may be back up and running for you guys. So I'm gonna get my guests on camera here. Brad the fish, come on over.
What's happening?
Here he is. Kyle, come over on this side. We are back,
Right.
hopefully up and live. And so tonight, guys, we had major technical issues with our YouTube stream. Got a new webcam, plugged that in, tried to start just kind of working with it and testing it. Couldn't even launch Hangouts. So I guess when I originally created the event, I may have put a setting in there wrong, or for whatever reason, just wouldn't go. So couldn't really test the stream, couldn't test the webcam. Ended up pulling out the webcam, canceling that stream, starting a new stream. So hopefully if you guys are out there and you're watching, you haven't given up on us yet and you are hanging out with us here in the live stream. So what I'm gonna do right now, guys, I'm just gonna quickly head over to the channel so that I can kind of get into the live chat with you guys and see what's going on for that. Guys, I'm just gonna quickly head over to the channel so that I can kind of get into the live chat. We are into the chat here. I'm just gonna turn off the volume on my phone and see if anybody is actually in here. I think there's just Chris from Bourbon Sane here. I think probably everyone else has given up because just too many technical issues tonight. So I'm gonna send a quick message to you, Chris, see if you're in the chat. And hopefully people will realize that other stream is not going to work and we can kind of continue on with our plan for the night from this new stream that we had to create. So again, really sorry guys for the technical issues, and we'll just kind of do our best going forward to give you guys a good live stream experience tonight. And I mean, we had some great plans for tonight. I was gonna dress up like a unicorn and jump out of a refrigerator box. I mean, we had it planned for you guys. It was gonna be really great. So now you just have to kind of bear with us. And so what we need to do right now, more than ever, I think,
Just drink whiskey.
is drink whiskey.
Yeah.
So we gotta get some whiskey going. So what we are actually talking about tonight is unicorns in the whiskey world. So it was kind of cool. I texted Brad and I was like, dude, are you excited for the live stream? We are going to be unboxing a unicorn. And he was like, what's a unicorn? And I'm like, well, unicorns in our whiskey world or our bourbon world are those bottles that are really difficult or impossible for us to get our hands on. So here in Canada, our bourbon selection is quite a bit more limited than what it would be in the States, significantly so. So that we hear about these fantastic bottlings and we're like, oh, awesome, I'm gonna go out and get that. You go to the BC liquor store, which is our provincially controlled liquor store here, or you go to a private liquor store where sometimes the selection can be better in certain areas. And you're like, hey, I'm looking for this bottle. Can I find it on the shelves here? No, I cannot. Okay, so what's the deal? Why can't I get this bourbon? And the reason for that is because we have difficulties getting that bourbon into Canada, for whatever reason. So red tape, laws, politicians, greed, whatever it is, we can't get our hands on all the fantastic bourbons that you guys get down there in the States. So I actually put this out into a couple of forums too that I'm part of on Facebook groups. So there's the Pacific Northwest Bourbon Hounds, and there's the Bourbon Sippers Club, and there are a couple other groups, the Whisky Gallery and some other online galleries that are, or online Facebook groups that are great for the whiskey community. And one of the local ones actually is like the, I think it's the Rocky Mountain Whiskey Club. And there was a guy who jumped on there right away and was like, I wouldn't quite call that a unicorn. And I'm like, true, but here in Canada for us, it is because we can't get it. So unicorns in the whiskey world are those bottles that were really sought after that are difficult to find, or that we just can't even get our hands on here in Canada. So one of those bottles for us is the Colonel E.H. Taylor. And when I was down in the States, States. I just went to Seattle Supercross to check that out. And I was down in an awesome store called Total Wine. And they have just an insane selection of stuff there. So I was down there and I was like, well, saw on the shelf, I'm like, the Shining Beacon E.H. Taylor, I got to get it because the thing is, I'm just not going to be able to get it in Canada. And so Brad was asking me, he's like, well, how much does that bottle kind of cost in the States? Like, what does that set you back? And in the States, it's about 45 to 50 bucks, which is a great price. It's totally awesome for a bourbon as good as the E.H. Taylor small batch. The thing is, I was in Washington State, and they've got a 20% liquor tax there. So that hurts you quite a bit. And then, of course, we do the exchange with the U.S. to Canadian dollar.
30%.
And, yeah, 30%. So
you're paying 50% more.
Exactly. So you're looking at a bottle that ends up being pretty pricey, but for something that we can't get our hands on down here. So what's crazy, you can sometimes find the Colonel E.H. Taylor. And you know how you have to get it here in Canada? You got to win a lottery at the BC Liquor Store. You got to be there for their annual spirit release, which they do in November. And when I say you win a lottery, you don't win the bottle, you win the right to purchase the bottle. And at the BC Liquor Store, that bottle is going to run you 95 bucks plus tax. So it ends up being
pretty the same by the time you pay.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is with the BC Liquor Store is that once they have allotted those bottles, so basically once those bottles are done, the lottery's over and that stock is gone. Those people who won the lottery system, that's awesome for them. They get to get a bottle, but everyone else is kind of left out in the cold with no Colonel E.H. Taylor. So when I saw this bottle, I was like, well, that's something that we gotta get our hands on, just because it's just something that we're just not going to see around here. I know Colonel E.H. Taylor also has a single barrel, which would be awesome to try as well. And just to give you guys a different idea of the difference in price point. So the E.H. Taylor, the small batch version, was 50 bucks in Total Wine. Jumping up to the single barrel was like 75 bucks, right? So once you get the US Canada exchange rate in there, plus the Washington State liquor tax, you're looking at a very expensive bottle. So being on a bit of a budget as well and not kind of wanting to spend it all, I opted for the small batch for us for something to bring back, something that's cool and different. And there were lots of different choices there. I was really torn. I saw the E.H. Taylor barrel proof. I think it was the C917, which is kind of the really famous, that's my favorite, one of my absolute favorite bourbons is the, is that actual Elijah Craig bourbon. And it was the barrel proof. And I was like, I should get this too. But it was 60 bucks US. And so I'm like, I got to kind of,
Jeffy, you just got to buy it next time.
Just got to buy it next time.
It's
right.
money.
I know. It's true. It's true. It's just money. You can't take it with you. The first mate doesn't like that one at all. So guys, without further ado, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to just run off real quick, grab a bottle, come back with some glasses, and we're going to get right into the whiskey. Sound good?
Let's do it, buddy.
Entertain the people, boys.
Oh, we got Kyle. He'll be entertaining for us. I'm excited for this whiskey, though.
Yeah, it should be different.
It's going to be delicious. It's going to be super good. You believe that? 20% tax?
That's quite a bit.
It's insane. Being a plus the exchange.
Yeah,
Right? So it's like 30%. I just got American money today.
Why do you have American money, Brad?
Why do I have American money? For
Where
a first mate? I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks.
Where you staying?
In Vegas? At Bally's.
Stayed at the weird.
Because I stayed there for my honeymoon.
Oh, yeah.
So
Good one.
I've stayed at, this will be the second time I've been to Bally's.
Nice.
So, well, found the unicorn.
Here it is. Sadly, not jumping out of a refrigerator box in a unicorn costume, but nevertheless, at least we now have some whiskey to drink.
That would have been good
here
to
it
watch.
is. You get some glasses for us.
Wow.
That's a nice.
This is a wicked box of it. How awesome does that look?
So good. So the packaging on there, pretty darn good. Pretty awesome. Got some Glencairns for us.
Hey.
And that's what we need. Just tilt that down. There we go. So this right here, what we got for the E.H. Taylor, I won't do too much of a history lesson for you guys on the actual E.H. Taylor and sort of who he was in the bourbon world, because there are tons of reviews of this out there that can go over the history. But the Coles notes on this would be kind of telling you guys that this is a bottled in bond bottling. So if you look at the label there, we can say the E.H. Taylor is actually bottled in bond. So it has that extra bit of scrutiny in terms of looking for the highest quality products. And it's also going to be bottled at 50% ABV, which is what we like to have, right? We like that extra punch of alcohol. So like the ABV is going to help out with really bringing to life the flavor profile of the whiskey. So I know that Chris, who's joined us on the live stream for tonight, he is always after those cask strength or barrel proof whiskeys, because that, and I'm totally with him on that, especially in the Scotch world. If I can pick up and I can afford to get a cask strength bottling of the same type of whiskey, like if it's a Lagavulin 12, but I can get the cask strength version of the Lagavulin 12, having that extra ABV content, that's really going to amp up those flavors. And hey, I mean, I can always water down my whiskey a little bit, right? Or my Scotch. I can add a few drops. I can adjust that myself. But if I have the cask strength, then at least I have the room to play, right? If I'm given a bottling of something and it's at like 40% or 43%, that amount that I can play with the whiskey, it's already pretty much gone. So having it at the cask strength or bottle and bond strength is awesome for that extra flavor that you get out of the whiskey. I know Chris just recently, I just watched his video from Bourbon Saint. I watched his Redbreast cask strength review, and that is a bottle that I regrettably walked past in the liquor store that's like a block from my house. It's an awesome independent liquor store called Liquor Planet. They've got a fantastic selection of scotches, American whiskeys, bourbons, all sorts of stuff. And I saw it there the one time, and it was $100, and I was like, $100, I can't do it. And I'm like, ever since then, I'm like, should have done it. And again, Redbreast cask strength, 12-year-old Irish whiskey, bottled at around 56% ABV, I believe. And as Chris said in his video, just having that extra ABV just kicked up that flavor profile so much. And he loved that whiskey, and I'm sure I would too. And our other guys that are YouTubers out there, like Trenny and C, they said the exact same thing about that Redbreast 12-year cask strength. So having that extra ABV, it's not just because you want to look good drinking a higher proof whiskey. It really does affect the flavor profile, and it gives you, in my opinion, anyways, a really enhanced experience. So having this at 50% is awesome. And the cool thing about the Colonel E.H. Taylor is that you can drink this stuff neat. You're not going to get an alcohol burn. It's super smooth. So even though it is bottled at 50%, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like you're getting a really strong, unwelcome punch of alcohol. So that's pretty cool too. So I've already had this pour before. I did cheat a little bit. I got this at one of our local bars. So that is one good thing, is that even though we can't really get in stores, we can still find pours at bars here and there, right? And that's always something you want to look out for too. So if you see something on a menu and you're like, oh, okay, well that's going to be 12 or 14 bucks a pour. If you can't get it, you should get it at the bar, right? Because to get a bottle of it, you're probably in the same position that we always are for finding great bourbons here in Victoria, BC, where it's really tough. So the bottle and bond is super cool. E.H. Taylor is one of those kind of OGs, original gangsters, original dudes who was huge in the bourbon world, along with all sorts of other big heavyweights in the bourbon industry. So he actually, this bottle right here, this E.H. Taylor, this is actually still aged. The barrels are still aged in the rick houses or in the warehouses that he hand built. So that's a pretty cool little tidbit of history right there. So the Colonel E.H. Taylor, what else to tell you guys about it? Bottled and bond, excellent whiskey. And what's cool about this one is not only is the packaging super, I love the classic packaging on there.
Awesome.
You got a little,
looks like
you got a little,
cigar.
yeah, like a little cigar like container, right? Like almost like this part
Right.
is like the cigar label.
Yeah,
Right,
totally.
right? Like
exactly.
super old school, but super classic. You've got the photo there on the side of E.H. Taylor. So he's one of the big guys there who was distilling and creating some awesome bourbons back in the day. And then you've got a little picture there too of probably the original factory or the original production house for the actual whiskey itself.
This would really stand out on a bar, I think, for sure.
Totally. And so they've got that really cool classic styling. What I like about this bottling is that it carries right through to the bottle design as well. It's an awesome tube that comes with it, and that's kind of unique to bourbon too. So we're like when you're buying a Scotch or single malt Scotch, you're going to generally be getting a tube with it as long as it's at a certain price point. Like even your Glenfiddich, where it's your Glenfiddich 12 is a very standard kind of single malt Scotch to find. Most liquor stores, if you're in the States, grocery stores or whatever, they're going to be carrying that as kind of a standard thing, right? Even that, it's $55, $56 here in BC, Victoria, where we live. You're going to get a nice tube with that. For bourbons, not really so much. You don't really tend to see too many tubes. So it's nice to have that kind of part of the presentation, I think. So let's have a look at the bottle so we can get into actually drinking some whiskey. There we go. A little top off there. And here's the bottle, super tall bottle. And there it is. There's the boss, E.H. Taylor, small batch, bottled and bond, 50% ABV bourbon. So it is a super cool bottle as well as a super cool kind of, these are like gift tubes, right? So if you're giving a nice bottle of bourbon to someone, then of course it's a nice presentation. And it's always good if you get a really nice tube to give it a nice stroke just to say thank you. It's always a good idea. And I got that from Bourbon saying, he said, you got to show that tube some love. So really nice color as well to this bourbon. So just having a look at that right here. Beautiful, beautiful, nice, rich, dark kind of caramel color to that whiskey. Mm-hmm. And even like, look how far they go into the details there with the bottling. So you see the bottle and bond seal on there, guys? That's showing that it's got that federal government level of scrutiny for the quality. It's made in one bourbon season. It's bottled at 100 proof. And they've got that cool classic looking bottle and bond seal on there. So let's get into this, guys, because we are already deep now into the live stream and we have not drank any whiskey, and that is a crying shame. And that's on me. That's on the Whiskey Explorer. That's all that stupid technical issues we were having.
Does it help with that?
Yeah, I do. Can you get a knife out of the drawer there? So they've got this this on there. Oh, there we go. Found the tail. There we go. So here we go. We've got Mike Snook in here. Thanks for joining us, Mike. So now our live stream is 3 viewers strong. And I do feel like we done screwed up. Well, I did anyways. And we lost a lot of people due to not having the proper live stream up. So sorry about that again, guys.
Oh, learning curve.
I mean, it's a learning curve for sure. And honestly, YouTube is just not as user-friendly as it could be. I'm just going to come right out and say that. I'm a video guy with a background in that, and I just find YouTube just to be awkward and just not great. And I think that's why they're launching the YouTube video beta right now, because a lot of users out there are like, ugh, does this really need to be like this? Like, it sucks. So that was super frustrating, but hey, here we are. So one thing that I have been doing lately with my bottles, don't necessarily need to do it with a new bottle like this, but I just wanted to mention it for our viewers out there that I really like to do this from now on, because I've noticed that not just with one bottle of whiskey, but with definitely a few bottles, I have kind of encountered a dry cork. And then when I open it up, it's dry and it cracks, and I get and what we call it corking, which is like pieces of the cork end up going in the bottle, and that'll affect the flavor of the whiskey. I'm not down with that at all. So what I like to do is a little cork soak. So just as a demo, you don't necessarily, I never usually do it with new bottles, but I just hold the bottle upside down, or I put it down on the counter for about 1.5 minutes. So it gets the cork a nice a nice soak there so that you can basically have that not break apart on you, because that's happening with at least a couple bottles. Okay, so we're gonna open this guy up. Hopefully get a nice cork pop for you guys. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
What that is right there, guys, if you listen closely, it's a sound of quality. So E.H. Taylor, here it comes. I'm gonna pour some of this for the boys here. So, oh, nice glug too.
Smells delicious.
Simply the best.
Well, simply the best. That's for you.
All right.
You guys can both be the simply the best. And so again, guys, not going to go too much into the history of Colonel E.H. Taylor because there's so much information about that already out there. But I will say this: this stuff is delicious. It's fantastic. When I had it at Clive's, when I tried it, I was like, "Damn, that is awesome." And I've had some really, really good bourbons. But I will say, for us in Canada, who getting our hands on a Pappy's like a $500 or $600 affair, if you can't find Pappy or you can't afford Pappy, this is a good go-to. So this is coming out of Buffalo Trace Distillery, owned by Sazerac. So it's using their low rye mash bill, and I'm telling you guys, if you haven't had the Colonel E.H. Taylor small batch or the single barrel, do yourself a go out, especially if you guys are in the States, go out and buy both. I would have these guys in my collection, sitting in my bar at all times, both the E.H. Taylors. So let's get a good coating on the glass here. And that's something I'm definitely doing nowadays as well, is just kind of spending a bit of time with the bourbon or the whiskey or the scotch and rolling it around the glass there so I can get a good glass coating, and then I can take get a good nosing on it.
Oh, that smells so good.
Yeah, exactly. Bourbon Sane says only $500 for Pap. You have to move to Canada. Yeah, $50 for 375 mils. I wish. Yeah, no, Pappy, you guys are absolutely right. So yeah, you guys can't get the E.H. Taylor in the States. Are you serious? That sucks. Well, I didn't know that. No, so when I was down in Washington, I had already done my bourbon research, and I put it out to the groups. I put it out to you guys, and I said, like, what are some bourbons I should be looking for? I even sent Chris from Bourbon Sane a quick messenger message and said, hey man, like, what should I be looking for to get when I'm down in the States? Because there's stuff that I'm just not going to be able to find here in Canada at all. And one of the ones that for me that I was really on the hunt for, there was two that were at the very top of my list. The E.H. Taylor small batch was at the top of my list because I absolutely love it. And the single barrel, of course. And the other one was the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I found both at Total Wine. And not only did I find both, I found tons of the E.H. Taylor, the small batch, and I found tons of the single barrel as well. But if I went onto the Total Wine website for the store that I shopped at, the exact one I went to in Seattle, sold out on their website. They're like, nope, item is sold out, can't get it. And so I go to the guy, they're awesome there at the Total Wine. I go to the guy, I'm like, I'm so stoked to find this. And he goes, Canada? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we get you guys here all the time. It's like, people will go there just to shop for bourbon because they can find stuff that we can't find. And it was pretty interesting because what I said to him is I said, you know, I didn't count on actually getting this. I was just going to like be super happy if I found like something else that we can't get here, like Larceny or some of the other kind of barrels or bottlings that I had my eye on, you know? And he was like, oh yeah, it's like basically what happens is it's all state allocated in the US. So certain states will get certain amounts of bottles of hard to find or limited run bottlings of certain types of bourbons. And then it's like, okay, once those are allocated to those stores and to those states, it's done. So they as soon as that's happened, the allocations happen. So they still have it in stock on their shelves, but the allocation is done. They say that it's sold out. And the reason they do that, the guy told me, is so they don't get people calling in like a million times a day being like, oh, do you have the Colonel E.H. Taylor small batch? They just don't want to deal with that. So they just basically say, nope, item not available. So it was a score to even find this. Yeah. So without further ado, guys, let's take a little sniff there, see what we find. Got a good nosing going on. A little bit smoky for sure. Yeah, so Bourbon Sane says, I'm looking for that ECBP A119. Bourbon Saint, I think that one, if I remember correctly, was about 67% ABV, so a huge heavy hitter. It's supposed to be awesome. I didn't see it when I was down there. I found the classic one that everyone's got, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. And I think if someone can please just jump in on the live chat and remind me of what the barrel number was on there. I think it was something like C917 or something to that effect. I found that one in the Total Wine, and I seriously almost grabbed that one instead of this. But in the end, I went with this one here. So, knows this one here? Yeah, nice. I got the classic Buffalo Trace cherry note in there. Definitely getting cherry.
Yeah.
Nice caramel
I was
notes.
just gonna say caramel.
Yeah. It's
Caramel sweetness coming through.
Yeah, it's definitely got a sweet on the nose.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I get some mild baking spices, so some cinnamon, some nutmeg, some brown sugar, but it's soft. It's not like the arrival on that is very gentle, like very, very inviting nose. Like you just want to dig into this. It's like smells delicious. Like you've got that nice caramel tone in there. You've got the butterscotches. You got some cinnamon. You've got some nutmeg. You got a little bit of brown sugar.
Grandma's bacon in there.
Yeah, you've got the grandma's apple pie right in a glass.
It definitely doesn't smell tough like other
smells-
whiskeys do.
All right, boys, let's get into this.
Cilantro. We need
Cilantro,
it.
cheers. We need it after today's disaster. And thank you again to Bourbon Saint. Chris, thanks for bailing me out yet again. Chris is responsible for basically making sure that our 100th subscriber live stream went off without a hitch, and was responsible for helping me, kind of walking me through this one again.
Thanks, buddy.
So thanks,
Thank you.
and cheers to you. And we will live stream. We'll do a collab on the live stream soon, Chris. So looking forward to that. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Oh wow.
Mm.
Thought it was gonna be tough, and then it just smoothed right out.
So Kyle finding it a bit tough.
Just a little bit.
So that is super, super delicious.
I really like that a lot.
Now, here's the thing. What you don't want to do in general is to judge a whiskey based on the neck pour. And that's something that I've just kind of adopted that philosophy recently, because there have been a couple whiskeys that I tried that, like Brad said, when I tried them, the very first pour was a bit tough. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be that bitey or that harsh or that astringent or whatever it was. I go back to that whiskey, like, who knows, 2 months, 3 months later, and the bottle's down 3/4 of the way, and I try it again, and it's changed completely.
Huh.
And what you've got going on there is you've got basically the oxidization factor going on. So you've got your whiskey in the bottle mixing in with the air or the oxygen, and you're having basically a change in the flavor profile of that whiskey, because you're drinking the bottle down. The more you drink it down, the more oxygen gets into the bottle. That's going to change the chemistry of the whiskey, and it's going to change the flavor as well.
That's interesting.
So, and what's crazy though is that for a whiskey review channel, it really is kind of cool to be able to pop the cork on something and pour a glass and do an uncorking video, right? But then you're giving your tasting notes based on a neck pour, meaning this top kind of, not quite 3/4, but essentially the neck of the bottle of the whiskey. That's what you're judging it on. They say generally you're not supposed to do that. But I can say even on the neck pour of this, it's fantastic.
So what you're saying is
So-
we should drink whiskey faster
We
to get to the
absolutely-
middle of the bottle. Then, is
We
what you're
definitely
saying.
should.
Okay.
Or more,
Yeah.
and more frequently as well would be good to
Yeah.
kind of.
I think every day should be a whiskey day.
Okay, so I will say this though for Mr. Kyle. Mr. Kyle, you have a seat now. We're going to switch on and off here. What it is when you take that first sip, especially with a bottle and bond whiskey that's going to be 50%, there may be a little bit of a shock to the taste buds. And that's where having that second sip and kind of giving your tasting notes on that will give you a much better feel of the true nature of that whiskey, right? So that's what I recommend doing, is like the first sip is always going to be, especially with a bottle and bond or cask strength whiskey, it's going to punch you in the face a little bit, right? So now if you take a second sip on this, and even if you nose it, you're going to get, I guarantee you're going to get more, and you're getting something different as
There I
well.
get more.
Okay, see?
caramel.
That sip was better than the first one.
Exactly. And it generally is, right?
Yeah, delicious. No, for Kai. So good.
Not for me, but I'm gonna get it down.
Can you guys believe I'm wasting my good whiskey on this guy? Okay, so that's okay. Kyle's a noob, and this is his first bottle and bond whiskey. Actually, no, you had the Henry
No.
McKenna.
I did.
You did.
Did we?
We
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did.
So exactly. So Chris is from Bourbon Stains. He said you just got to let it open up a bit. Absolutely. Here at the Whiskey Explorer, we like to kind of gently roll that around the glass. Even you could let this sit 10, 15 minutes. It wouldn't be doing the whiskey any harm whatsoever. So again, revisiting this at some point down the road when the whiskey is down a little in the bottle and it's had more chance to oxidize, you're going to get, again, a different flavor on that, a different taste. And I'm telling you guys, you're going to appreciate it in a different way. So that was, I loved Spice Tree. So Compass Box, in my eyes, I haven't had too many of their whiskeys, but I've had enough to say that they can't really do any wrong in my eyes. So the Compass Box Spice Tree was my runner-up for Scotch of the Year last year. It was absolutely delicious right out of the bottle, first pour, right? It was awesome. But now that that bottle is like 3/4 empty to halfway empty, it's a totally different flavor experience. It's not to say that I like it less. It's just quite a bit different than it was when I initially opened it.
I agree, because that whiskey, when we tried it on the one review we did, was my favorite whiskey for the longest time. And then the second time I had it was when we did the flight.
Yeah.
And I actually liked it less then, and that's when I liked the Macallan more. That's when I figured out Macallan's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Although this is something though.
Delicious. Oh, and I Whiskey She Wines is here. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, man. Love your channel. It's so funny because I used your channel as proof to my wife, my first mate, that there are other whiskey tubers out there that make their wives drink whiskey with them and try to get them on their channel. So there you go. And I was like, see? And she's like, okay, I'll commit to one video a month. And I was like, I'll take it. So it's always fun to have the wives out, have them try out stuff, and getting the reactions is just sometimes pure comedy. Sometimes it's pure gold. Most of the time it's just pure comedy. And Alice doesn't pull any punches. She just tells it like it is. So
Absolutely.
she doesn't like something or she thinks something is, that's right.
It's just the first name.
She loves to throw out the term white trash when she's drinking whiskey. So her scale is like from really good to really white trash. So there you go. So it's pretty funny, actually. Hey, and the Mash and Drum, thanks for stopping by, man. Good to see you, Jason. So Jason C from Mash and Drum in the house as well. So that's awesome.
Don't give the first mate any whiskey with a bad label.
Don't give the, do not give the first
if you have a
mate
trash label, she ain't having it.
any
It's not-
whiskey
I don't care if
that's
it's good or not. She's
that
not doing
doesn't
it.
have beautiful packaging. It's true. I am going to get her out here for this. She thinks she's off the hook. She's like started on a project down in our garage. And I'm like, no. Because she said she'd come on at the beginning of the live stream, but everything was effed up.
Yeah.
So that didn't go over so well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get her on here. We're going to get her to taste this. And sometimes the best judgment of what the wife thinks of the whiskey is the face that she makes. Am I wrong? Definitely not. Hilarious. Well, it depends. Sometimes she surprises me and she likes it. So
Yeah.
one of the ones that she liked was the Woodford Reserve.
Oh, that's a good one.
Again, a bottle that she chose strictly based on the looks.
Yeah.
So she went out for me at Christmas. She's like, I'm going to buy him a stocking stuffer. And to me, that's a hell of a stocking stuffer. So I'll take it. And she goes and picks out the Woodford Reserve. But again, it was strictly based on the bottle design, how it looked.
But then she hated the McKenna. She thought that was white trash whiskey. Or a white trash whiskey.
And the McKenna, as you guys know, who are in the whiskey tube world or the whiskey aficionados out there, you guys will know this. The Henry McKenna just won gold at the San Francisco Spirits competition. And I have some really interesting things to tell you guys about that. So in talking about the Henry McKenna, 10-year-old whiskey, bottled and bond. Before it won the gold, you could pick that bottle up all day long in the States for about $35. Since it's won the competition, you got an increase in price and you got a limit in availability, right? Everyone wants to go out and buy a gold winning bourbon. It makes sense, right? And to me, when my brother brought that back for me from the States, I was like, here we go. Single barrel, bottled in bond, right? $35 US, and 100 proof, 50% ABV, 10 years old. That is a bargain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was high up on my list of whiskeys that we can't get here that I wanted to try. And if you guys remember, we had a bottle that was from 2009. And what I've researched and what I've found out is that bottles that were barreled and bottles that were barreled before 2009 are superior to the 2009 bottlings, right? So I was surprised even that my brother found a 2009 bottling, because that would have been just 10 years old. But in going back to the bottle, I confirmed that, and I'm like, you know what? I wasn't blown away like I thought I was going to be blown away, right? But again, we judged that whiskey strictly on a neck pour. So I'm definitely going to revisit that one, see what I think later on, because I trust you guys out there in the whiskey and bourbon world. I think you guys know what's up. I mean, I know you do. And all of you have said almost universally glowing things about the Henry McKenna 10-year. Some funny things that I've heard about the Henry McKenna 10-year. And these are, from what I understand, rumors, but this is what I heard. I heard that the reps for Henry McKenna did not have a bottle in the San Francisco Spirits competition. I don't know what happened. Someone effed up. Someone probably lost a job over it, if this is true. And they literally went out to the nearest liquor store and pulled a bottle of the Henry McKenna 10 off the shelf and entered into the competition. So say what you will. That's the rumor on the street, but who knows if it's true or not. I don't know. No one knows, but it would be pretty dang funny if that was the case. Like
I didn't like it.
And you know what? And I was the same way,
it.
but we don't know that for sure, right? We got to go back and try that one again.
Well, we should try to do like a re-review then.
We will.
I think that
Absolutely.
sounds like a game. See?
Absolutely. So, guys, tell us in the comments below, what are you guys drinking tonight? What's up? What are you guys drinking? Tell us what's in your glass tonight, because here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a second uncorking for you guys tonight, right? Something that Brad really wanted to get into.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm excited. That's a good one.
When you have a catastrophic live stream start, what you should do is not just open one bottle of whiskey. You should open at least two, right?
Or four.
Absolutely.
2 to 3.
Yeah, 2 to 3.
4 maybe.
Possibly 4 to 5.
You never know.
So new Booker's, Teresa's batch, getting ready to review. Awesome. So I am definitely seeing a Booker's release of some kind in my near future. I almost pulled the trigger on Kitchen Table, but again, it's a little bit pricey here. But from what I understand, Booker's is getting up to about the $80, $85 mark in the States. So maybe you guys can jump on the comments there and let me know and confirm that. Because here in Canada, the liquor store that's like a block away from me, we can get Booker's for $85 Canadian. So if it's like 80, 85 in the States, I'm going to want to get that sooner than later, because guess what's happening in the bourbon prices here? They're going up. And I think what you're going to see is a similar trend to what's going on in the Scotch world, where Scotch is always increasing in price. I think with these bourbons, especially the ones that are harder to find, currently aged Taylor, things like that, you're going to see the prices just keep climbing, right? Because they're state allocated in the US. So there's only a certain amount of bottles per state that they're even allowed to get their hands on to sell. Mm-hmm. And as the the numbers of a whiskey that's available go down, the demand is going to go up, right? And therefore pricing is going to go up as well. That's just sort of the nature of the beast. And we've been seeing that in the Scotch world for quite some time. It just seems like Scotch just keeps going up, and it gets crazy. So people are talking to me and telling me and chatting. And I watch, as you guys can imagine, I watch tons and tons of YouTube whiskey reviews, and I've subscribed to all the YouTubers that are out there doing whiskeys, or as many as I can. And everyone's saying the same thing. It's like there are bottles they used to get, no problem at all, for a very reasonable price. Walk into a store, pick it up off the shelf, and all those bottles that they used to get that are like their favorites, like the crowd pleasers, those are all going up in price. And the same thing's going to happen here, of course. Right? So that's just kind of the nature of the beast, right? What else you guys drinking here? We got Mash and Drum saying it's about 70 to 75 US MSRP, but I've seen it higher. Mike Snook says the Booker's is $79. And DH Silv 2 is saying Booker's is planning to go to $100 US. Geez, exactly. Yikes. That's tough. If it goes to 100 US, that's going to cost us about $130 here in Canada. Plus, we pay some pretty decent taxes on that as well. So that's going to put that kind of out of the wheelhouse for a bottle I'm going to go out and likely buy. So as I had suspected, that is a bottle that we are going to want to get our hands on for the channel sooner than later.
Yeah.
At least one of the Booker's releases, right? I'd like to be like, if you guys are out there in the whiskey world, you guys have probably seen the Whiskey Dick. Great YouTube channel name. I got it. My hat's off to him. That's pretty damn good. That's great, actually. And he does really well. And he is a Booker's guy. So he's got like a ton of different Booker's. And that even goes like Booker's hunting. So he'll go, and if he can't find like the expression of Booker's that he's looking for, he'll just go out to different liquor stores and drive around until he finds it. Or, he'll get a tip from one of his buddies or someone from a liquor store who knows him and knows his channel. Give him a call, be like, hey man, we got that Booker's you're looking for. He'll drive over and pick it up. So he's got like a lineup of Booker's. He just loves it. That's his jam, right? So what's cool about the Booker's is nice high ABV, uncut, unfiltered, super tasty whiskey. I find there's just a ton of complexity and just beautiful flavor profiles. Nice and spicy, high rye content, just really juicy bourbons with the Booker's releases. So
sounds like we need to get a bottle.
We do, absolutely. And it's one that I've almost bought several times. I definitely have had bar pours of it, but kind of it's in that price range where when you're looking at $85, you're like, okay, that's a really good single malt Scotch. And when I first started out into the whiskey journey, that's kind of primarily what I was drinking. So, so usually I would go, okay, well, $85 for the Booker's. And it's been $85 here for a long time. So it's actually stayed pretty steady. So, I would look at that and go, okay, well, I can get this or that kind of Scotch. So, and Mash and Drum's saying they vary a lot, but still have that typical bean flavor profile. Yeah, absolutely. One bottle that's kind of cool that I found just on sale recently. And when you find a bottle that's kind of cool and you've never had, and you look it up and you're like, oh yeah, it sounds interesting. You find it on sale, you buy it. So one of the ones that I did buy recently, because of what I want to do at some point on the channel is I want to have a flight fight for Bald and Bond bourbons. So like line up 5 different Bald and Bond bourbons and do a flight fight and see who comes out on top in a blind tasting scenario.
Those are so much fun.
So much fun. So that's one thing that we're going to be doing on the channel at some point. So what I picked up was the Jim Beam Bottled and Bond. So has anyone out there who's on the live stream tried that Jim Beam Bottled and Bond? And if so, what did you think about it? I heard through the grapevine, it's just, pretty good. I picked it up for $28 Canadian. So for $28 Canadian, that's a sweet deal. So I was like, yeah, I think for that price, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So let's give some more tasting notes on this, guys, now that this has had some time to sit. And we'll see what we can kind of flavor profiles we can pull out here for you guys.
Like another face.
Yep. Kyle's going to make another face.
They definitely nailed every aspect of this in terms of like the quality of the bottle and the design of everything, from the tube to the bottle to the label to like this is super cool. It's just a nice looking bottle.
Ball and Bond seal, yeah.
I think it's just such a nice bottle to have it on your bar. I think it would just really stand out.
And what I like about this a lot is I've not added any water to this. And in my experience, it can definitely hold a couple drops of water. But when I tried that, it didn't really do a whole lot. So this is definitely a whiskey that, even though it's bottled and bond, you can drink that at the full bottled and bond strength, the 100 proof or 50%.
I get a little bit of vanilla taste on it myself.
For sure. And I'm wondering from you guys, when you guys tried it again, did you get quite a punch of spice?
Yes.
Me too. Me too.
Definitely.
So now the rye kind of, even though it is a low rye mash bill, I get the spices coming out big time. They're coming to play.
It's delicious.
So on this, I get a little bit of the oak influence as well. So definitely there's a barrel impact there where I get a little bit of a drying sensation in the back of the throat, kind of end of the palate. That's where you're tasting the wood profile of the oak. So I'm getting lots of spice on that now. So lots of cinnamon.
Definitely more spice for sure.
A little bit of black pepper, a little bit of white pepper, some caramel sweetness, some nice vanilla notes in there, some butterscotch, caramel, I kind of mentioned that. Something that I picked up on at this sip was maple syrup.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like a little bit of a maple syrup flavor. And if you kind of have a look at the glass there, not a whole lot left, but you can tell by looking at the legs there, if you guys can see them. Not sure if you can or not because the lighting in here sucks because I didn't have time to set up my lights, but there we go. There's a good view of the legs. Look how slow those are moving. So quite a viscous, oily mouthfeel to this whiskey. And I gotta say, I love that nice full mouth coating mouthfeel you get from the E.H. Taylor. So yeah.
Is that better?
No. So what's the chat in the live chat? We got Bourbon saying, Chris saying Kathleen is awesome. I think that's Kathleen's batch or whatever it is for the Bookers. Perfect fruity balance, not as cinnamon forward. Yeah. Guys, we got to work out what I want to do. My dream was, and it was shot down really quick in the whiskey community, just because of how crappy our customs agents are in both the States and Canada. And just the fact that they just don't like even little samples of whiskey or bourbon crossing those borders. So as frustrated as we are with getting bourbon here in Canada, good bourbons, things that are barrel strength or things that are just hard to find or impossible for us to buy here in Canada, here's the thing. The reverse is true for Canadian whiskey in the States. They're going to get the Canadian Club. They're going to get the Crown Royal. They might get Alberta Premium, but it all sucks. So what they get in the States for Canadian whiskey is pretty universally awful. It's the kind of stuff that whiskey people here in Canada just don't drink. It's stuff that, honestly, Canadian Club, Crown Royal, Alberta Premium, those are all whiskeys you're going to mix with Coke, if that's your thing. It's not mine, but if that's what your bag is, that's what you're doing with it. So what would be awesome is somehow to set up a network, and I have actually successfully sent some samples recently, so I know it can happen, but get some sort of a network or a community going where we do some sort of an exchange of samples so that like we can then start to share some of like what we think or we classify in Canada. We try and we're like, hey, that's actually damn good whiskey. I'm surprised we can put our name on that. I'd love for you guys to be able to go out and get a bottle of Lot 40 cask strength, but it's just not going to happen, right? Because it's not going to come to the States. It stays all here in Canada, and we get to enjoy it, but you guys don't get it. There's also some awesome J.P. Weiser's Canadian whiskey, especially some special bottlings that would be awesome to send out your guys' way. So I'm still trying to get my head around exactly the logistics of how it work and how we get it past those.
That's a really cool idea.
Sneaky bastards that are in customs and that want to confiscate our whiskeys. But there's got to be some way around it, and it would be awesome to somehow figure that out where we can get you guys a taste of some of the stuff, because some of the stuff that's happening in Canada, especially nowadays, is impressive for whiskey. There's some really good stuff out there, and it's surprising because, honestly, globally, we have a pretty shoddy reputation when it comes to whiskey.
We have some very good local whiskeys here that are pretty good.
And so Lot 40, the regular, so someone's referring to that. I just saw Lot 40 for $50 here. That's going to be your non-cask strength version. And there is a massive difference in quality between what we get here for a Lot 40 is $35-$36 Canadian for the regular Lot 40. When you go up to the cask strength, you're talking about a completely different animal in a very good way. The cask strength is where it's at for the Lot 40 offering.
Yeah, I had Lot 40 the other night. It was really good. Not the cask strength. But
yeah, just the regular rye.
It was really good.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I don't know about what you guys are thinking, but I'm thinking we better get another bottle and uncork that. Don't want to keep you guys too long. Thank you guys so much for persevering with us tonight and for joining the live stream. Awesome to have you guys on board and enjoying some whiskey, hopefully at home as you guys drink along with us. So I am going to get something that is super cool. And again, this is one of the whiskeys that don't feel bad if you can't get it at home in the States, because guess what? Most of the rest of BC ain't getting it either. This is something that is very specific and very unique to Vancouver Island in our region. It's a local distillery where we had the pleasure of going and doing a distillery tour and an interview and a tasting. And it is Divine Distillers, and it is their Ancient Grains whiskey. So I'm gonna run to the vault, go and grab that for you guys. I wanna show you guys literally one of the coolest bottles I've seen in terms of bottle design.
This is up there too, but this one's really cool.
This is really cool, but I'm gonna show you guys something that's a craft, what they would call here, just obviously total hipster term and super popular to call things nowadays, but what would essentially be a craft distilling and a craft bottling of some really, really awesome whiskey. And this is, again, it's something where it's like, since you guys can't get it where you are, I would love to send some samples of this out to you guys. I'd be happy to. Because like when you guys try this stuff, it'll be like tasting, you'll be like, Canadian whiskey. Like everyone has their preconception of everything. But with Canadian whiskey, generally you're thinking a mixer, right? So I'm gonna go and grab that. I'll be right back, guys. Hang tight. Be just about 30 seconds. I'll come back with something super cool for you guys. Here we go.
Kyle doesn't. He's not confident he can finish this, so I'm gonna drink his whiskey for him, like a good friend.
Guys.
So
What are we gonna do with Kyle?
I don't know. We gotta toughen him up a little bit or something. But
I don't know. I mean, we got the fish.
Brad
We got the
warned me.
first mate. I've even had my brother out for some reviews, but he is a whiskey and scotch lover. Kyle was a noob when we started out. We had high hopes for him, but they're kind of dashed now, eh?
It's a little bit like
going down.
It's
It's
just
going down.
It's going down. We might need to get him out of Bud Light, guys. What do you think?
you drink it.
You drink it.
Yeah, I drink it.
So this is the bottle that we wanted to show to you guys. This is the Ancient Grains from Divine Distillers. Look at how cool this unique bottle is here. So this was something that we were at the distillery doing our tour, doing our tasting, shooting a video, and Brad was like, you know what? I'm buying that for the bar. We're gonna put that in the Whiskey Explorer bar. Because I will tell you guys, when we tasted this, it was unique to anything I've tried for Canadian whiskey.
We even tasted it before it was bottled, even in the creation process.
So we had a taste of the new make spirit that goes into the barrels for this.
Yeah.
And just a quick background on the Ancient Grains. If you guys have a close look at the label there, you can see that it says at the top, quarter cask. So what you've got here is you've got a locally distilled product. So they use all local ingredients from Vancouver Island, where we are here in Victoria, all very, very close proximity to the farm and vineyard. And what they're doing is they are barreling that in ex-bourbon barrels that are quarter cask in size. So actually, wait a second. Were the ex-bourbon barrels the quarter cask ones?
Yes, they were the barrels that came from Woodward Reserve.
Yeah, Woodford Reserve, I think, was where they used to get some barrels, and I think they ran out of the barrels they were getting from them, so they were getting them from somewhere new. But they were these cool little quarter cask barrels, and what's really cool about this whiskey is that it is aged for only 1 year. But I can tell you guys, it does not taste like that. No. So it's excellent. So I'm going to let Brad, since Brad bought the bottle, he's going to do the honors. I'll put the pressure on him.
What is the small batch mean?
So small batch is generally just a small run. So if you've got a whiskey distillery or a company that's like Buffalo Trace, they are capable of a huge, massive output of whiskey. So when they do a small batch run, it means it's sort of more handcrafted, and the theory is anyways, they're producing less whiskey for the barrels that will eventually be bottled. Is it maybe very much a marketing thing? Yes.
Okay.
But I think, small batches, generally you can get them and you can taste there's quality there.
Right.
Oh, look, it's the first mate, just in time to taste some whiskey. Get in here.
You ready?
Yeah, pop that cork. Oh, there we go.
Wet cork.
Why didn't you doing a separate video of this?
Nope, we're gonna do this for our live stream.
What?
Yeah.
You just tasted the other one.
Yeah. I'm going to taste this one too.
Why not? Look at that.
Yeah, super nice. So they were awesome to us when we were at the distillery. They hooked me up with a hat, which is super cool, my new whiskey hat. And they helped us out with taking us behind the scenes and walking us through the distillation process. And so that video should be coming to you guys fairly soon. So let's get some new glasses for this one.
Okay.
Get in there first, mate.
I guarantee there's people in the chat right now that are saying that this is going to be white trash whiskey. It's not. That's for sure.
You said that this one was white trash?
Yeah, we've got some people in the chat that
You don't know. You don't
Sit.
live here. You haven't tasted
see
it.
the first mate. Those people haven't met the first mate.
This
You're
is
in for it
from
now.
Where we live. Where do you live?
Guys, you can never have too many Glencairns, okay?
Yes, you can.
No.
I
can't.
wash them. I have to put them through the dishwasher. There are too many.
Kyle,
And these ones say simply the best. I don't know, where did you get this from? From a bachelor party?
no, I got it from the marketplace on Facebook.
That was for like.
It was for an auction.
Oh,
And this
okay.
woman like brought them home to her husband. Her husband's like, I don't want those. And so I got like, I think it was 6 Glencairns for $20. Can't beat that. Okay, I don't care what they say on them. Here we go. Yeah, Bruce Todd says, I have one and I need more. Bruce, you're gonna need at least 5 because you wanna be able to do a flight of blind tasting. At least 5. 5 is a minimum in my book.
The chat's saying that the first mate's going to say this is white trash whiskey, but
What?
I don't think she is. I think she's gonna like this.
I've been to the distillery and it's a classy joint. So I approve.
There you go.
Like, Brad, it was classy there.
yeah,
And Divine is
yeah,
very
it was
nice.
fantastic.
Very nice. Not white trash. This looks more white
Yeah,
trash.
Bourbon Saying says you need 12. I think I have at least 10
Too
of the
many.
Glencairns.
Oh, I remember that.
No, Chris says that I need 12, honey, so I'm gonna need at least 2 more.
No, I'm gonna start breaking them.
No. Okay, guys, so Divine Distillers, we've got the Ancient Grains quarter cask, 1 year old, locally distilled and bottled, and they get these really cool looking bottles from France. So I have those specially shipped in. I think it's one of the coolest looking little bottles I've seen. It's a full size bottle, but it kind of has this
Labels
really cool handmade label on it, and they do all their labeling by hand, which is cool too, part of the process. So let's take a little nosing of this one. Wow, totally, completely different than the E.H. Taylor, right?
I get like
Sweet.
a sweet, almost like an apple
Yeah.
pear kind of almost, maybe.
So
Definitely apple for sure.
this one is like sweet, fruity.
This one smells sweeter.
No,
I think you need
I
a side.
thought that one. You know.
this has got strawberries on the nose.
Yeah.
I get like actual sweet berries, like blackberries, strawberries, really like the sweeter type of fruits on this one. Even strawberry for sure is dominant there. Yeah, so the Bourbon Saying says you need more than just Glencairns. You need some Copitas too.
Stop
Some of the
encouraging him.
Copitas too. He's
No,
absolutely right.
no.
I'm on the lookout for those, so I will be getting some Copitas
If
as
you
well.
keep it up, Bourbon Saying he's gonna end up in the garage doing videos out there.
Well,
You guys can Google Hangout all you want.
lovely to have
That's the first mate.
on the channel, on the live stream. Okay, guys. So, on the nosing there, fruity,
Macadamia nuts,
macadamia nut,
big time.
sweet, kind of like definitely the orchard fruits are in there. Doghouse Google Hangouts, indeed. Yep, that's where I'm gonna be. Hashtag worth it.
Hashtag worth it for me.
Okay, you guys ready to have a taste?
Let's do it.
All right,
I'm waiting.
cheers, guys.
I've been waiting all week to taste it. Although I've already had it, but
Here we go.
watch Kyle's face, everybody.
Oh, does Kyle do gross soap face too?
I do.
That wasn't too bad.
Oh, that's so good.
That one is good.
Mm-hmm.
that is just so incredibly smooth.
Right? Like that's just
Insane.
Oh, man, so good.
It tastes syrupy,
Yeah.
but in a good way. It's like honeysuckle, definitely lots of sweetness, strawberries, the sweeter kind of fruits, like the berry fruits that you go and pick off the tree, you know, like kind of blackberry, strawberry, a little bit of plum, hints of like baked apple, cinnamon is in there. I think it's delicious.
It says candied fruit on the bottle.
Does it say candied fruit on the
Yes,
bottle?
it says
Well, there you
candied
go.
fruit.
It is delicious, guys. This is bottled at 45% ABV. And again, even having that extra, like, you know, your standard bottlings of your kind of bottom shelf whiskeys, your bottom shelf bourbons, your Canadian clubs are going to be 40%. There's not a lot of room there for exploration. If you want to add a bit of water, you want to see how that interacts. You want to break up the chemical profile of that whiskey a little bit, bring some of the oils to the surface and start to explore that whiskey deeper. You're not doing that with 40% whiskey. It's just not on, right? Even at 43%. So some of my favorite whiskeys, not favorite, but my go-to scotches, Highland Park 12 is one of my go-to scotches, one of my favorites. It's bottled at 43%. And I always say, I wonder what that whiskey would be like at 46%. Because I just think there'd just be an even, like, more flavor profile would be coming to life at that point. So even having that extra 5% is appreciated. So we got Chris saying, Jeff, you need to pour your wife the Taylor too. You're absolutely right. I do. You have not tasted the A.H. Taylor, and you have to taste that.
Well, I'd be going in blind because I didn't hear anything you guys were doing. Could you hear the silence?
Yes, we could.
I was like, they probably can't hear it.
Oh no, it was pretty loud, the chop saw.
Sorry.
So new glass for Alice. Always a good idea, guys, if you're going to be doing different types of whiskeys. That's why I like to have you know, many Glencairns around. I also have some really nice glasses I like to use for old fashions. But if you got a new whiskey, it should go into a new glass, preferably. Okay, so now we're gonna see.
No, it's not.
I think it's really good. I love the E.H. Taylor.
I'm already judging it from this. I don't like this. You guys
What?
like it. You probably love this.
We love it.
It was really good.
I do.
This color is barf. I don't like it. It looks
Here,
old.
see? What did I tell you about the labels?
It's
Is there
terrible.
white
Here
trash?
we
When
go
he
again.
bought
Here
it,
we go
There
again.
was a better bottle. That was like, this bottle's way nicer, and then he grabs this one. And
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
Okay, now you got to try that one,
This
Alice.
is the first
The
meal.
scene of the crime.
So essentially the first mate saying you should have spent more money.
Well,
Yeah, on the nice, more unique bottle.
oh, was it the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof? Okay.
I don't like it. This one, oh, it doesn't smell sweet. I see.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Yes, that's right, Bourbon saying. I do need to stockpile more glasses. I have almost used all the Glencairns in the house, but not quite. When I hit that used all the glasses mark, it proves that I need more.
Proves you'll be 1 foot in the garage.
Oh,
Maybe next week.
no.
Ah, God, that's disgusting.
What?
Get like liquor, like oh, it's so gross.
Come on. Oh, guys, there we go. There's the reaction. You can tell when she doesn't like a whiskey.
Oh, that has cigarette butts on the aftertaste. Did you taste that?
Cigarette butts on the aftertaste? No, I didn't.
That's disgusting.
I want to know what you guys think about who made the best face out of that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, comment, let us
who
know.
made the better
That one
face
is
when
shocking.
drinking the E.H. Taylor small batch? Was it Kyle or Alice? Go.
No.
The first mate.
The first mate, I
That's
think,
not fair, though,
takes the
because
win.
It's like, oh, this doesn't taste much, and then it sneaks up on you super fast.
It's so good.
Oh, I did.
I liked it.
That's a bad surprise.
Guys, the Ancient Grains is so good. So here's what we're going to do.
This one is nice.
You know what? This Ancient Grains is so damn good that we need to do a giveaway. We're going to do a sample giveaway of this one. So what I want you guys to do is, if you are in the live chat right now, drop a comment in the comments of the live chat and just say Ancient Grains. Ancient Grains. And we will enter you guys in a draw, and I will mail you a sample of a bottle that you will never see in the States for sure, and that you probably aren't going to see anywhere else in Canada either. And it's awesome. And you will, hopefully, like us, you will love it. So Ancient Grains,
The price point is really good too.
So yeah, let's talk about the price point. So here we go. Here's what you would consider to be a craft product, right? And I will tell you guys, this is definitely marketed for that crowd, right? They have won huge awards, this distillery. So they're not just making craft spirits, they're making excellent award-winning whiskeys. This actually is also certified craft distilled by the American Distilling Institute. And they were telling us how much of a process they have to go through to get the craft organic. It's actually organic as well. So what they have to do to get that process and get approved for that.
Yep.
It's a huge process and huge amount of work for them, but they do it and they produce awesome stuff.
But how cool was the tour to how much information we learned?
Insane
about whiskey. Like it is.
And did you
everybody's got to go and take a tour of a whiskey distillery.
Absolutely.
Listen to a guy who makes it, and it is the most interesting thing you could.
Totally.
For sure. It brings a new respect. I
couldn't wait to nose in. Absolutely.
The stinky mash.
In the mash, yeah, absolutely. It was awesome.
Mash.
Loved it. And so the ancient grains here, this direct from the distillery was
about $60.
$60.
All in.
No, it wasn't. It was more expensive. It was
No?
like 72.
Well, you got taxes in there, right?
Was it the taxes?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah, I don't.
72 with taxes. Then.
So $60.
I just gave them the money. It
So
didn't matter. But
before taxes, so the price was I believe it was $58.
58 and then taxes or something.
And then taxes. So for something that's craft distilled and a really unique product, for a full bottle of that, I think that's a great price.
That guy's like organic. Ew.
Yeah, that's right.
We live on an island with a bunch of hippies.
We live on an island with a bunch of granola munching hippies, so they're gonna go for the organic. So anyways, guys, hope you really guys loved the live stream tonight, even though it was riddled with technical difficulties to start. We eventually got to you guys, and you guys found our live stream, so we're grateful you guys joined us here tonight. We've got the ancient grains. If you drop that comment into the live chat, just say ancient grains. I'm going to enter you guys. Anyone who's in the live chat who wants that sample sent out, you guys can get in touch with me. Give me your address. I've got some really crafty new ways of sending samples after going through the embarrassing process of being asked point blank, what's in here? What is this? What's the value?
Who asked you that?
At the Canada Post.
Well, what did you say?
I had no idea what to say, so I think what I came up with was, off the top of my head, robot part. And she was like, robot part, so like a toy? And I was like, yeah, sure, toy robot part. That's all I could come up with.
Why would they ask you what was in your package?
They have to.
They never
It's a
ask.
personal question.
They never
So
ask.
I've got some crafty
Jeez.
new ideas of how to send you guys samples and get it through customs. And I will do that
that's a good idea.
for someone for the
Perfume.
Perfume.
Yeah.
That's
Or-
every single
Brilliant
thing.
idea.
here's
Yeah.
what you do, you say it's essential oils.
No,
Yeah.
perfume is the one.
Perfume's the one?
You're smart.
First
Okay,
makes
who do we
sense.
got there? Yeah, DH Sylv 2 with the win with perfume. So I have some other good crafty ways of trying to disguise the package. So what we'll do is, if you guys dropped in a comment,
Ooh,
ancient
olive oil.
grains,
That's not bad.
into the comments there, we will get you a sample of that. Send it out so you guys can try some good Canadian whiskey, so that your impression of Canadian whiskey is not limited to just
You should-
Canadian Club and Crown Royal.
You should do a giveaway eventually of your infinity bottle, like mix.
Yes. Okay.
When you
So
get enough like dregs.
you're absolutely right. So what I'm going to do is, very soon I'm going to be finished a very good Canadian whiskey that I have. Remember the JP Weiser's commemorative edition, 2018?
Yeah.
Remember how sick that bottle was?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make an infinity bottle of that. And so what I'll do is I'll put together a cool infinity bottle. I'll make it specific. So since we're in Canada, I might do a Canadian infinity bottle, and then I'll send out a sample of that. So it'll be like 1 to 1.5 ounces of a variety of different really good Canadian whiskeys. And we'll see how those ones marry together in an infinity bottle, or
Awesome.
in the other one they call it a Solera bottle. Okay?
Now, well, let's point out one thing. Look, this person is there.
Yeah, I whiskey, she wines. That's right.
I feel bad for your wife too, because you are roping
No.
her into it.
She
And
loves
I'm
it.
there against
We
my
know
will.
they love it. And
Me and her should start a club. Tell her I want to start a
no,
club with her.
we're doing them a favor, and they should be thanking us for
I
it. Am
feel
I
bad
wrong?
for your wife, just
I
like me.
agree.
I feel bad for myself.
No, you shouldn't feel bad for yourself.
People
You're getting
hate
to taste all this great whiskey, hang out with all these cool people. What more could you
Quality
possibly
Tell
ask?
time
your
with your
wife I say
husband.
hi. I'm
That's right.
sorry. I feel bad for you.
Okay, guys. Well, we're going to leave you with that. So thanks so much for joining the live stream tonight, guys. Until next time, may your seas be smooth and your glasses be full. Here's the Whiskey Explorer signing off.
How long did it take you to come
Cheers.
up with that?
Off the top of my head.
That's
how I
pretty
roll.
good. That's pretty good.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
No, I'm not choosing you. I'm giving it to you. I try to use the miter.
I hope everybody got that. That was good.